Now, if you're like me, you've probably heard of the dark web. There's been widely circulated lore regarding the dark web and what you can do to find it. It's the type of thing that children and teens are told not to go on. I mean, think about it. It's like the big bad wolf of the World Wide Web. Even the name suggests that this is a layer of the internet that does not see the light of day, meaning you won't find just anybody scrolling through this area of the internet. So, what actually is the dark web? Basically, the dark web is a part of the internet that isn't accessible to search engines. So, you won't find any of these websites during a typical routine Google search. And this hidden layer of the web can only be accessed by a special browser known as Tor. This dark web is often kept secret in very advanced layers of encryption, so communication can be kept private. Now, two main details regarding the dark web are staying anonymous and no censorship. The dark web is unregulated, basically meaning it's a free-for-all in terms of the content that is published on it. You will find forums, chat rooms, and other various websites on the dark web that can range anywhere from strange, bizarre, to downright illegal and terrifying. But first, let's take a brief look into the history of the dark web and how it came into existence. It's actually very ironic because the origins of the dark web lie exactly where you would never think: the federal government. Most Tor websites have a .onion domain. Onion routing is the principle that allows Tor users to stay anonymous. And this was something invented in the mid-1990s by the US federal government. Onion routing was created on the basis of protecting people in the intelligence community, letting them communicate back and forth in total anonymity. It also served to keep whistleblowers protected, allow journalists under oppressive regimes to communicate, and completely allow for freedom of speech in all parts of the world. Is this something that the dark web is still used for today? Yes, it is. The dark web isn't all illegal and criminal activity, though. There are actually some uses for the dark web that are still true to what it was formed for. However, has the original intent of the dark web gotten into the wrong hands plenty of times? Yes. I mean, it's no secret that anonymity of the World Wide Web, we all know, is not always guaranteed. However, anonymity on the dark web is a whole other idea. And of course, people can often exploit this anonymity and use it to push content that you wouldn't find in a Google or Bing search. But just how far can the dark web go? What lurks beneath this layer of the internet, and is it really as sinister as everybody says? We'll explore this now. Now, you may have heard of the infamous Silk Road Marketplace. It is definitely one of the reasons why the dark web was further catapulted into the spotlight and became known as the illicit dark area of the internet. Ross Ulbricht was the creator of the Silk Road, a 26-year-old Penn State University graduate with a master's degree in materials and science. Now, during his time in graduate study, he developed a strong fascination in libertarian philosophy and economic theory. He believed that everybody had the right to purchase and sell whatever they wanted. Following graduation, he found it hard to keep an interest in a day job. With his philosophy and the help of the Tor network, Ulbricht was able to start his own marketplace in the dark web. Some compared it to an untraceable eBay. Ulbricht saw his marketplace as a free market that wouldn't be intercepted by law enforcement. And it was, which is why the Silk Road instantly became one of the most notorious marketplaces for selling and purchasing drugs and other illegal substances. Although it was noted that the sale of any product that would be used to harm or defraud another individual was prohibited. There were a lot of strange things for sale on the Silk Road Marketplace as well. Things like DIY vasectomy kits and items most innocent, such as food and other things. However, the Silk Road became most widely known for its availability of narcotics. The Silk Road was not around for that long before it was shut down. This marketplace ran from about 2011 to 2013, and it was a hot spot for many on the dark web. as later statistics would show. In those 2 years, the Silk Road had about 1.2 million transactions between around 957,000 users. Dang. The site had so much traction that it inevitably got the attention of law enforcement and politicians, which is what kicked off the marketplace's demise. The Silk Road was shut down in 2013, and Ulbricht was arrested and convicted on various charges, including money laundering and conspiracy to traffic narcotics. He is currently set to serve life in prison, although there have been some talk of him and his family trying to fight the convictions, as other people who have contributed or operated these type of dark web marketplaces have received lesser sentences. There was even a Silk Road 2.0 created after the original was shut down in an effort to keep these transactions alive. However, this site was shut down as well, and so the Silk Road ceased to be, but it is a widely known marketplace that inhabited the dark web and could have been a major influence for other sites. When referring to the dark web, many experts will always go back to referencing this marketplace. However, this is just one story of the many dark corners that lay in the deep dark web. As I mentioned before, one of the most well-known uses for the dark web is allowing internet users who can't access certain popular news channels, mainly because of strict internet regulations in their countries, access these kinds of sites more often. There are dark web versions of sites like the New York Times, BBC, and even the CIA. You can even send emails to the dark web email websites. Many people who use this communication are confident that their messages are completely anonymous. Now, this is why the dark web has been useful in terms of government affairs and the communication between whistleblowers and other higher-ups. Of course, while the dark web has its useful websites to help breach internet regulations when it comes to accessing news sites and, keeping anonymous communication between different entities, one of the main reasons why the dark web has so much infamy is due to the presence of darker or more sinister sites and services. Just like the Silk Road, there are plenty of other sites on the dark web that take advantage of the anonymity present on the network. These sites may offer a chance for people to communicate or exchange illegal services. One of the more consistent types of websites on the dark web are chat rooms or forums. These chat rooms are often dedicated to topics that wouldn't be safe to discuss on the internet we all use. Now, these forums and chat rooms often center on dangerous or illegal activity. For example, there are chat rooms dedicated to hacking. These forums usually consist of hackers exchanging stolen data, such as passport data, digital identities, credit card numbers, social security numbers, entire databases of people's data, all on the dark web. And when it comes to stealing someone's identity and other information, it is there to buy and sell. Now, here are some of the things you can find for sale on the dark web. Things like drugs, guns, stolen social security numbers, as I just mentioned, counterfeit money, stolen subscription credentials, and even hacked Netflix accounts. I mean, in the deep recesses of the dark web, there is also said to be a human trafficking business. Some authorities who have researched and explored the dark have confirmed that there is a small portion of human trafficking that goes on in the dark web, but come on guys, let's define small here. However, a lot of the most illegal and disturbing sites on the dark web are actually extremely encrypted, and for probably good reason. This means you have to input passwords and look deep into coding of servers to even stumble upon these malicious websites. However, who would even want to take the risk of coming upon disturbing sites such as these? The biggest activity and transactions on the dark web mostly consist of narcotics and stolen information. On the dark web, somebody could buy the credentials to log into someone's bank account with $20,000 in savings. It is truly a free-for-all. You never know if your own information may be floating among these forms with a symbolic price tag hanging over it. There, of course, are malware services. You can pay for somebody to hack another person's computer. You could essentially pay somebody to ruin the life of somebody you know or don't know by hacking their computer and uploading some very illegal content. In fact, I remember reading a story about the dark web a while back in which a man came into contact with somebody else on the other side of the dark web who he didn't know, and the man started demanding things, of course, not listening to his demands, he simply uploaded a file onto his computer that was full of CP. Now, I'm not going to say it, but if you know what CP is, well, there you go. Anyway, he could not delete this file that was on his computer because it was so encrypted, and so he basically had no choice but to destroy the hard drive. Now, what this person was going to do is not only upload this CP file onto his computer, but after he did it, he would call the police anonymously and say, hey, this person who lives at this address has CP on their hard drive. So it could be very easy to completely destroy somebody's life just like that. And of course, there are also espionage services, which means you can target someone in your own life and deliberately set out to destroy and ruin everything with just phishing and other hacking services. But scamming is not even the worst thing you can do or purchase on the dark web. You know the saying, everything has a price. Well, the same could be said when it comes to the dark web. There are more sinister services and products, mostly video, offered, some that can be life-altering and even fatal. It is important to know that the main currency used in all dark web dealings is cryptocurrency. This untraceable currency maintains the factor of anonymity. By paying the right price, there is no telling what services you can get. There are standard scamming services such as hacking and stolen personal information, but some of the lesser-known sites that also plague the dark web also include those that deal with pro-anorexia and other eating disorders, as well as harassment. Chat rooms and forums within the dark web motivate people to engage in highly damaging behaviors that could take a toll on their physical and mental health. It may seem like these types of scams and pro-ed websites are the worst of the dark web, but you may not want to get ahead of yourself. Things may just simply get worse. There have also been long rumors of what you might find when you go deeper. Torture services, sinister red rooms where unspeakable acts are filmed and uploaded for paying viewers, videos and photos of abuse and other violent acts against adults and little ones. And other dark, highly illegal deeds are rumored to hide in the deepest recesses of the dark web. Though these things have often been said to be rumors, if somebody looks hard enough, who knows what they may find. In fact, one of the most well-known video topics to hit in YouTube in the last few years was the unboxing of dark web mystery boxes. You may have heard of regular mystery boxes. They're usually going by a certain theme with a specific number of items. You may pay a certain price point for items, and it's a great big mystery, but you do have some idea of the kinds of things that will come in these boxes. And dark web mystery boxes are kind of in the same lane, but not really. They do delve into the more sinister or eerie side, especially if you check out a few of the unboxing videos that circulate YouTube. In the height of the dark web mystery box craze, people were paying anywhere from $100 to $1,000 for a mystery box purchased off the dark web. Now, some people even noted that these boxes were bought off sites that did have some reviews, but in the end, it was still a significantly large mystery of what exactly came in these boxes. The answer to this mystery was answered when the boxes were delivered, and the mystery box unboxings were quite unsettling to the content creators and viewers alike. One YouTuber unboxed a dark web mystery box to find a drug-stuffed teddy bear, electronics, and a voodoo doll. Another YouTuber who recorded a dark web mystery box unboxing was deeply disturbed to find a dirty and stained children's backpack in his mystery box. The backpack contained a tattered child's outfit that was equally stained. The backpack also contained children's books where the children were doodled on to look possessed and demonic. One of the key aspects of these boxes is that there may be something illegal found in them, such as drugs. There may be stained clothing, tools, and even children's toys. One YouTuber who opened a dark web box received an audio file that had a background noise of child laughter and a voice that repeatedly whispered, "I see you." Another dark web mystery box unboxing revealed 2 creepy children's dolls and a screwdriver in a Ziploc bag with staining and hair attached to it. A YouTuber who bought into the trend was disturbed to find that his mystery box simply contained a note which read, "You shouldn't accept packages from strangers. Good luck." But are these dark web mystery boxes legit? We may never know. But one thing is for certain though. By buying something off the dark web, some YouTubers or anybody else who is interested in seeing what kinds of things can be found in these mystery boxes can end up getting way more than they bargained for. I mean, oftentimes, these scammers who are trying to pull tricks on unsuspecting novices to the dark web may try and hack curious explorers' computers. There's also the matter of where these YouTubers get the dark web mystery boxes sent to. It is one thing to have a handy P.O. box so their information is not in the hands of the stranger on the dark web. However, some YouTubers were very regretful of having shared their address with these strangers, and I don't blame them. It is one thing to read about what the dark web is, and something completely different to hear about someone's experiences while in this dark layer of the internet. Let me tell you about some of the most disturbing encounters I've heard of when it comes to people who visited the dark web. Now, imagine finding your friend's information on sale on the dark web, and things only getting worse from there. One dark web user recounts seeing the information of his friend, might I add, deeply personal information, including his social security number, emails, and more on the dark web. The user even saw the price this information was going for. Further researching this dark web database saw the same user finding his own information listed for sale as well. I can't imagine how horrifying it must be to see your own information for sale to anyone who's willing to pay a price. In fact, one Reddit user tells this story on behalf of their friend. He was snooping where he didn't belong, which is like black market forums and hacking forums, when someone private messaged him basically saying, "I've looked into you because I see you in here a lot, and I know you're not here to buy or use the services because you're just a kid. I don't mind, but others will, and you haven't protected yourself well enough to be here. Get off it if you know it's good for you." So it must have been a good thing this friend was warned off by this friendly hacker. It seems like the dark web is home to many bizarre and terrifying websites, and you may not always run into a friendly stranger who wants to warn you. Now, when asked about the websites they'd encounter on the dark web, this user wrote this: "The most interesting things I've found are websites that basically help you change your identity completely. For example, anywhere between $6,000 to $10,000 in USD, you can get an American ID, passport, driving license, and all the paperwork done so you can move to America under a name you desire. That's quite cheap if you ask me. I mean, somewhere around $8,000 just to get a new identity and start a new life in a new country. I could basically sell my house, spend $8,000 on the new IDs, and move to America and buy a flat with the rest of the money and start a new life altogether." It is true, though. There are many websites in the dark web that offer you the chance of a completely new identity. Is it legal? No. Can it actually fall into the wrong hands? Yes. Can other people's personal information be at risk? No doubt. There is one thing for sure. You will find a multitude of websites on the dark web that can offer you a completely new social security number, name, and even address. The idea of a new identity seems like something from a film, but if you have the money for it, anything is possible if you find yourself in the depths of the dark web. Though not particularly criminal, this story by a dark web user definitely raises a lot of questions. They wrote this: "I once found a forum dedicated to sharing recordings of the automated messages that tell you the next stop on trains. People would post the recordings that they presumably made themselves, and then they would discuss them. It haunts me to this day. I have so many questions. It seems that the dark web is not all illegal and criminal activity. Sometimes you may stumble upon some pretty bizarre but in the end harmless forms, such as the ones mentioned above. Though this doesn't mean all corners of the dark web is sunshine and rainbows. You may stumble upon some pretty innocent stuff. It seems that one of the biggest risks of browsing the dark web as a curious bystander is getting hacked and getting your personal information stolen. Buying something on the dark web may not be all it's cracked up to be either. There have been many reports of people buying things that are advertised one way only to get completely scammed. For example, one dark web browser purchased what was advertised to them as a mind-blowing experience. What the browser thought it would be, I can't be certain, but imagine his surprise when they received a dust buster vacuum some days later. Browsing the dark web is not illegal. What you interact with or purchase off the dark web is what crosses the boundary. Now, if you find yourself interested in browsing the dark web, it is important you use a VPN and perhaps even an incognito window to download the Tor browser. Look, I'm not your parent and I can't tell you what to do, but I can't stress the importance of knowing what you may see once you enter. A lot of the sites on the dark web may contain images of gore and those that could possibly shock you or disturb you. It could be said that the dark web has users who are legit and those who are looking to troll and disturb. What you want to browse the dark web for is up to you. However, judging from a few of the accounts of users that browse the dark web, it's safe to say that the cloak of anonymity is not always around to cover for you. If you're looking to see what all the hype is around when it comes to the dark web, be my guest. If you're looking to deep dive this part of the internet, don't be shocked if you find things get a little more sinister. I can't encompass everything that makes up the dark web, but this is a pretty decent condensed version that unfortunately stays PG-13, and I say unfortunately because a lot of the things that you think are absolutely horrific are more than certain on the dark web. And if you don't believe me, then you are incredibly naive. Now, the dark web has long been the subject of rumors concerning what illicit and criminal activity goes on there, and it's everything you could imagine. And I'm not saying it doesn't, but it's safe to say that the dark web has more uses than can be useful, especially to people from other countries. There have often been trends that come and go from the dark web. For example, the idea of red rooms, where people are tortured and the content is recorded for paying customers. Though these rumors were never confirmed, they were also never debunked, which is why many users still talk and go in search of this depraved content, and also snuff films. Come on, you don't think people don't do this stuff? We're talking about crime organizations and syndicates here. I myself personally have heard of many disturbing stories involving human trafficking, red rooms such as that, snuff films, and even things dealing with children that I won't go into. And if you're interested in ordering a dark mystery box, I would definitely go with a P.O. box. Also, some of the dark mystery boxes, if they are still being sold, don't seem like much more than a harmless scam. This is something you'll see a lot on the dark web. I mean, oftentimes, some hitman websites and other types of services will be nothing more than a scam where some desperate clients pay up front and never see their money again. The dark web is a fascinating place, of course. I think it is the name itself. The dark web, come on. And the idea of this unregulated place online, which could be extremely dangerous or extremely interesting. I mean, we can all agree there's already some weird stuff that circles on parts of the web we know, but it keeps people curious to know what is on the dark web and if they can browse for themselves. So, is the dark web really the bad wolf of the internet? Who's to say? There's definitely some sketchy and not so legal activity that goes on there on a daily basis. However, like with anything else in the world, there are always conflicting reports. I don't think we'll ever know the fullest extent of the dark web, only because there is so much encryption and hidden sites that require password upon password upon password. In fact, if you guys out there truly have an interest in wanting to learn more about the dark web, just go ahead and look up the story Cicada 3301. I think that's pretty interesting. Now, if you're still really curious, you could make it to the dark web and browse, but don't be surprised if you see something you could have lived the rest of your life without seeing. After all, the dark web is a mix of it all, the innocent, the trolling, the bizarre, and at times the downright disturbing and dark. The question is, do you want to see all of that? And more importantly, I want to know what you guys think. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below, and if you have a dark web story, whether it be innocent or disturbing, I would like to hear from you, so please leave it down there. And also, if you're a fan of storytelling of the mysterious and supernatural, be sure to go ahead and smack that like and subscribe button for more content just like this. As always, I love you all, keep an open mind, and I'll catch you guys in the very next video.